weekend.
All right. We're right before Monday Night Football, obviously about to lock in on that. And this week has been, I said before, I was like, man, like 21.5 points in the first quarter, in the first half's crazy. Like teams aren't going to score 3 touchdowns in the first half.
Yeah.
10 of the 13 games this weekend went over their complete total. And the Bucs scored 51 points, which was crazy.
Yeah.
And the people who were complaining about cover 2 ruining football and it being such a big deal, it's safe to officially come out and say that they were officially wrong, because the cover 2 beaters that have been kind of put in everybody's back pocket for the last like 5 years or so are getting brought back out. And I mean, offenses absolutely exploded this past weekend, and there's really no other way to put it other than that.
Yeah, it took a few weeks, which, God forbid, we don't get 75 points a game every game for the first 5 weeks of the NFL. Then all hell breaks loose, and it's what's wrong with everybody's offense. But yeah, it just took some adjustment. We saw a lot of these games. You said what of them? 10 go over, 10-2,
10 out of
over
13, and we're obviously pending Monday Night Football.
Yeah. But yeah, it just took a few weeks for an adjust. It was an adjustment period. It took everybody some time to figure it out. Hey, we're going to see more cover 2. This is how you beat it. And we saw that on full display this weekend.
Another thing that comes to mind with this exact issue is that nobody plays in preseason.
Correct.
At all. No full offense. Like the Chiefs are pretty much the only team that like play in preseason. And I think like the first month of the season is really just a complete, like, let's figure out who we are. Some teams are obviously more equipped who like might have a little bit more of like cohesion from like last year coming into this year. But like pretty much this first like month of the first month of the season was used to pretty much figure out who they were. And yeah, like offenses and points are completely back.
Yeah, I think but that's normal. Like you're going to go through stretches of a season where defenses are more dominant, offenses are more dominant. Like it's just give and take. And this was the first weekend of what we could potentially see of a few weeks moving forward, where the offensive adjustments were made. And now we could see, or after this, we could see defense adjustments being made. And like that's just kind of how it goes. But yeah, it was a great weekend for points and favorites.
I'll tell you one thing right now. I took the under first half total at 19.5 points in the Chargers Broncos game, and it ended at 20-0 in the first half. So it hit by half of a point. But what happened was Bo Nix threw a god awful pick when they had the ball and automatically gave the Chargers the ball at like the 30-yard line. And I was like, okay, like I'm screwed. Then the Chargers are driving, and then Javonte Williams fumbles on the 50, and then they just go in and score. And it's just like, oh my gosh, like it's simple things like that, like absolutely kills an under.
Yeah, turning the ball over that quickly is never a good sign, especially when you're turning it over like on your own side of the field too.
Yeah, and
it's
automatically
horrible. It's
getting
horrible.
in plus territory. It was brutal. So
yeah, that's a sweat for sure.
But as of now, definitely not going to be looking to take any unders anytime soon. And of course, I'm probably going to bet the over in tonight's game, and it's going to soar under for whatever reason that may be.
Yeah.
But tonight is definitely a spot. Like right now, the Buffalo Bills play New York Jets tonight. The over-under sits at 41.5. The spread is now literally just at a point. Seems like a complete pick'em game. First, I want to get what you think is going to happen in this football game. But the second thing that I want you to answer is, this seems like such a must-win and get-right spot for both of these teams.
Yeah.
That I feel like this game has been severely underplayed for how important it is for both sides of like each team. So what do you think's going to happen? And what do you think about the severity of if for example, like if the Jets underperform or if the Bills offense looks bad again, like what do you think could potentially happen?
Yeah, I mean, this will be the first game the Jets with their new head coach, new play caller. The thing that everybody loves to talk about is like the new coach bump or like the lack thereof coach bump, I guess. I didn't get a chance to look into it, but how serious do you think that is? If you're a team where you're kind of struggling all year up until this point, and now there's a guy, now you're going into a situation where I don't want to say like it's must win this early in the season, but like
Kind of
this
is.
game that's like huge for both of these teams, right? Like how big of a deal do you think it is, like the new coaching situation for the Jets?
I
Before I answer your question.
I think it is a big deal. And I mean, if you listen to like we both listen to Bill Simmons, or if you I just watched a clip for Cowherd, all the insiders are pretty much saying like Saleh was like beloved in that locker room. And
Right.
that his firing like didn't go over well with the team. And it felt like potentially like they feel as if he got scapegoated a little bit in a way for like the Hackett issue on offense that wasn't getting addressed, and he was going to make that decision. And even like somebody reported on Cowherd that like Rogers and Saleh spent like 30 minutes on the phone call with that with each other after the news broke. They had like a really good relationship. He was in quarterback meetings, blah blah blah, this, that, and the third. So the Rogers involvement of like him getting fired, we can pretty much like throw that out the window. That wasn't true. And the players seem to have been affected negatively by it. Like you saw what Garrett Wilson said. You saw what Brees Hall said, like, oh, that guy believed in me. I love that guy. Sauce
Yeah.
Gardner tweeted something out and then like deleted all of his social media accounts and was like, I'm tired of the negativity. Like I'm gonna miss Saleh, etc. I don't know if we like, I think in some cases, like, yeah, you do see a coach bump. But like in this case, like I don't know if we're gonna see a new coach bump. The only thing that I think that we see differently from the Jets side of things is I think that they're going to be way more aggressive on offense. That's pretty much it. Because what I think Saleh brought to the table from like a team philosophy standpoint is like protect the football. Our defense is gonna do our thing, and like let's not keep our defense out on the field that long.
Yeah.
So I think that like if they are going to change anything, it's just them being more aggressive on offense. But defense, I think he was their defensive coordinator already. I don't think much changes on the defense side of the football. I just think that like I think that they're going to make it a point tonight to come out and like try to be high flying, try to
Try
get
to
the run
push the
game,
ball. Yeah.
try to get the run game going, because that's something that's just been lacking for this team since the start of the year. I know that that was a long answer to your question, but I think that no, I don't think that this team gets a coach bump just because it didn't seem like they were too happy that the solid news happened the way it happened.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I don't really think Salah had much to do on the offensive side of the football, which was where we really saw this team struggle. Um, the defense was playing pretty much as good as it has been since he's been there. So I definitely don't think there was any issues on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, it sucks when all these guys are like coming out saying like, "Yeah, we like Salah," all this positive stuff about him. But I do agree it's probably not a good thing that like all of these players are negatively affected by this. It's not like they really seem too happy about him moving, like the decision for him to be fired. But back to like how I think what I think about this game. Um, it's going to be a battle. I think right now I was looking at some of the trends, and I believe shoot, I just had one up here. Aaron Rodgers is 6-1-1 against the spread as a home underdog, and that doesn't include the game in 2023 when he got hurt. I think I think that the Jets are going to go out, and I think they're going to win this football game. I think they're closer to playing better football right now than the Bills. The Bills have not looked anything close to who we thought they were at the beginning of the season these last 2 weeks. And we're trending down. I think even with the coach firing, I think that the offense is going to look a little better. I think having somebody else calling the plays is going to help. We saw Garrett Wilson start to get going a little bit. And I still think the defense is superior. But I think I like the Jets tonight. I think they're going to go out and I think they're going to handle business on defense. I think they're going to make it tough for Josh Allen. This could be against a team like the Jets with a really good defense. This could be a situation where we see just how good Josh Allen is without having like a legitimate star receiver. We'll see if that ends up being the case. But this is a game where somebody on the wide receiver core or tight end has to step up and make a play. Obviously, it's a close spread for a reason, but I do like the Jets.
You know what's weird about this game is I placed a parlay this week. It was like Bears 10.5, the over under 56.5, T-Law to throw for 175, Caleb to throw for 175. And before that game started, I put $50 on it. It was like plus 100. Before the game started, I said I had the Jags at plus 10.5. And I said, wait a second. If there's anybody that's going to lose this game by more than 10 points, it's going to be the Jaguars, not the Bears. So I switched it to the Bears plus 10.5. When I look at this game and I'm thinking about placing a potential parlay similar to that, I've hit on that like a lot this season so far. I look at placing a parlay similar to that for this game, and there are, in my head, there's real possibilities that either side of like either the Jets or the Bills could lose this game by like 10 points, and it wouldn't be shocking to me. I don't know what that side looks like. Obviously, if the Bills can't get the offense going, I'm going to be definitely concerned. But just something to think about, I guess, when I'm trying to figure out what I want to do tonight, betting wise.
Also, a banged up James Cook is never good for the Bills. They've been able to kind of lean on him, and he's been really good for them this year. He is playing, but not being at 100% against a pretty good defense is not a situation that I would want to be in necessarily if I'm the Bills right now. So that keeps something to keep in mind as well.
Definitely. Okay. Then do you have anything else that you want to add about Monday Night Football? Or are you good to go?
I like the Jets, but I mean, I love this matchup. These are the only two teams in that division that are like actually fighting to win the division. It's not going to be the Dolphins or the Patriots. So this game means a lot more than it should probably for a week 6 game.
Yeah, no, definitely. Next thing, something that we absolutely need to talk about, but we also hit directly nail on the head. The only thing that we probably didn't get right was the fact that we thought the Vikings probably weren't going to be that good this season. It turns out they're the best in this division, but is the gauntlet of the NFC North. This past weekend, the Lions won by 38 against the Cowboys. The Packers won by 21 against the Cardinals, and the Bears won by 19 against the Jaguars, and the Vikings are still undefeated. We thought that we said this multiple times during the offseason that we thought this was going to be easily become the best division in football. And it was really just about which team can take that next step or get over the hump, or who's going to beat up on who can stay healthiest. Exactly. One, I want to get your reaction. I mean, those are winning by big margins this past weekend. And then on top of it, like I said, the Vikings are still undefeated. One, how'd you feel about all of these teams this past weekend and how they performed? And I would like to hear your prediction at some point of who could potentially win this division, because it's honestly at this point completely up in the air.
That's what I was just about to say is I still don't know like who I legitimately think is going to win this division. I think you look across the board at these teams and they all smacked who they played respectfully. The Lions offense looks like, I mean, an absolute juggernaut. Losing Aiden Hutchinson is a massive blow for them, but if you can go out there and put up 47 points a game, like you can probably win most of your football games. Another thing on moving on to the Packers, actually, like they looked good on offense as well. Held the Cardinals 13 points. Jordan Love looks like he's getting back into the swing of things. I still feel, I mean, that was who I thought was going to win this division at the beginning of the year, and I still have confidence in that. It just, none of us thought that the Vikings were going to be this good. The Bears are 4-2 at this point. Like, we had a pretty good idea that the Packers and Lions would be this good, but it's safe to say that nobody projected the Vikings to be this good. It's really tough. And then on to the Bears, I guess. Like, Caleb Williams is looking better and better every week, but everybody told us that he sucked.
Yeah, he's good,
but he looks more and more comfortable week in and week out. I mean, some of these throws that he's been making for touchdowns, he threw the one fade to Keenan Allen, and then I think he threw that other like little back shoulder, like right by the goalpost into a tight window. 2 beautiful throws. But they're looking serious too. The defense is beyond legit over there in Chicago. I still feel like, so who do I think is going to win this division? I still feel really good about my Packers bet. I think the Aiden Hutchinson injury is huge for them. But like I said, if they can continue to go and explode on offense every week, like they did this past week, they stand obviously just as good of a chance. And then the Bears too. The Bears have a stretch of easier games, and then it gets a little bit more difficult, but certainly not a team that I would write off as winning. And then the Vikings too, obviously, like they've looked good. If there was a team that was going to regress at all, I think it ends up just being the Vikings by default. I mean, I don't think they're going to go out there and go undefeated this season. They're going to lose at some point, but I think once you see these teams play each other, it could be a toss up any one of these games is what it feels like. And so I think you got to feel pretty comfortable too, even with a rookie quarterback in Caleb Williams. I think you picked the Bears at the beginning of the season.
I picked them to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, so yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think realistically, all of these fan bases should feel good about where they're at this point in the season to win this division. But like I said, I'm feeling good about the Packers still.
So something that got underplayed, and I wish I thought about this, is like the Lions' revenge aspect against the Cowboys last time they played each other.
That weird calling at the end. Yeah,
they just had this game circled on their schedule, and you knew for a fact that they were fired up for it, and they literally just rocked them. So
yeah, throwing linemen out there for hook and ladders, lining them up wide, up on corners, just blatantly disrespecting Dallas at home. Dallas is the worst team in the NFL at home. They can't stop a traffic cone.
And then the other two teams did their thing, like the Vikings. My prediction to win this division is just, I'm going to stick with the Bears still. I just think that if we look up and down at these teams, who on both sides, who's more complete? And
we lost him.
Hello?
You cut out. We lost you.
Hello?
I can hear you. We lost you at, you think...
What?
First time in a while.
Why'd that? Yeah, I was going to say, why'd that just happen? It hasn't happened in like 4 months.
I don't know, but we lost you at you're sticking with your Bears pick.
I'm sticking with my Bears pick, and the reasoning behind that is because if you look up and down at these teams, I think the Bears are just the most complete team on both sides of the football. I think that they're going to be able to score with the Lions, and I just think that the Bears have the best defense out of all teams in the division, even the Vikings. And the reason why I'm giving them the slight edge over the Vikings, even though the Vikings have been nasty, is just talent-wise. I like the talent that they have on the Chicago side of the football way more than I like the Vikings talent on their side of the football. So, obviously, like the Lions are a juggernaut on offense. They look great. David Montgomery's legit. Like everybody's great. Like I get it. But they're not going to be able to get away with doing like hook and ladders and shit like that against the Chicago Bears. They're just not going to be able to. So I cannot wait to see this division play out. We hit it nail on the head before the season started that we thought this was going to be a nasty division to go up against each other and for the entire NFL. But yeah, as of right now, I was a little nervous about the Bears for a little bit, but if Caleb Williams continues to get better every single week, their offensive line continues to get better every single week. DeAndre Swift legitimately looks like a completely different player from week 1 to right now.
Yeah.
Keenan Allen's healthy officially. DJ Moore's starting to have a better connection with Caleb. and so is Adunze. And then you even saw Cole Kmet have 2 touchdowns this past weekend. They also have a scary offense. So
yeah,
I just want to continue to watch them get better week in and week out. Like you said, the defense is already doing their thing. They already look good. Now it's just time for the offense to get up to speed with them. And I think that they're doing a really great job of that.
Yeah, and this is kind of to be expected, right? When it comes with a rookie quarterback, you're not going to see it's rare, obviously, if you're going out there and lighting the world on fire right away. But it's been 6 games. Like, have a little bit of patience. And I'm sure Bears fans have at this point. I can't imagine that you aren't happy with the way that things have played out thus far in the season. 4-2. Quarterback looks better every week. Offensive lines looked better every week. Like you already said, DeAndre Swift looks like a completely different guy, and Caleb Williams is building really good chemistry with these wide receivers. And then again, just like a staple of Chicago football has been just a nasty defense, and the offense is finally starting to catch up to that. I think you have to feel really good about where you're at through 6 weeks if you're a Bears fan.
Yeah. Listen, we didn't get everything right this offseason, but NFC North, I feel like we're pretty dead on, other than the Vikings. But listen,
yeah,
if the Vikings end up falling off, because Vikings obviously got off to a really hot start, but like, I still like the Bears more than them. I still like the Packers more than them. I still like the Lions more than them. So if they get beat up within their own division, then like what it is. I think that we could take a victory lap if it plays out like that.
There's also a world where all 4 of these teams make the playoffs. And how insane would that be?
Is that possible?
With the 3 wildcard spots, yeah. I looked at it today. You get a division winner and 3 wildcard spots.
And what would everybody have to finish with 9 wins?
I don't know the exact number that it would take, but like, say whoever wins this division ends up having like 13. I would imagine it's probably going to be somewhere around that, like 9 or 10. The NFC isn't like outside of this division. There's probably like 4 other teams that aren't a division winner that you feel like, okay, they're going to be a playoff team. So it's just a matter of how do these 3 teams handle business outside of the NFC North?
Yeah, definitely.
That'd be wild, though. We've never had all 4 teams from one division make the playoffs. So low key rooting for that. Have we?
Didn't it happen last year? Wait, didn't the Bengals didn't make the playoffs. My bad. All right. Let's shift gears a little bit here. And what I want to talk about next is Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter is keen. First things first, Travis Hunter is maybe the best college football player that I've seen come in like in a while. Like somebody who's like as prominent as him and who dominates on both sides of the football. Like we don't really see that ever. And obviously he's a really great player. But he is averaging like 100 plus snaps each time they play. The most that he's ever played in a game was 152 snaps. And we're now in a second year in a row where we saw what happened against him in Colorado State, where he got absolutely crushed and like hurt his spleen or whatever. Then he hurt, I believe it was like his shoulder or his back this past week.
Shoulder.
There is going to be a point, and I understand that he wants to play both sides of the football. There is going to be a point where he needs to have that serious conversation because he's obviously going to play at the next level. There's no doubt. He's going to be a top 10 pick.
Yep.
There's going to be a point where he's going to be like, I can't play both sides of the football because it exposes you to first off, football is an extremely dangerous sport. Football is playing that many snaps in the course of a game. One, it's not great for your body, longevity wise.
Yeah.
Two, that exposes you to so many more opportunities to potentially get hurt. And lastly, just nobody has ever done it in the NFL before. And Travis Hunter's like a slight guy. He's skinny. Like he's not somebody who's like, okay, like, yeah, I can see that. One, I want to hear what you think about that. And then second, I want to hear if it was you personally and you had Travis Hunter's skill, would you want to play wide receiver or corner at the next level?
So I did think about this when you texted me about it today, obviously, and was like, I think that, and I had a new thought as you were bringing it up again. I think my initial thought was let him play both sides in college. I think Colorado needs him on both sides of the football. He's an impact player on both sides, and he's just clearly better on defense when he's there. Obviously, we know how good he is on offense too. That goes without saying. But I think once the NFL comes around, there's always going to be like one guy that go out there and like break the mold as far as talent, skill level, what this person does. Like we kind of saw Jabril Peppers years ago play defense for Michigan, and they were trying to get him to play some reps on offense. Now, that's not even fair to Travis Hunter because he's much better than him at offense and defense. But there will be a guy that eventually breaks that mold. I don't know, and plays both sides in the NFL. I don't know if that's going to be Travis Hunter yet. He's good enough right now on both sides, undoubtedly, to play one of them in the NFL. But we see this week in and week out. Playing in the NFL, every play is damn near like watching a car crash. And for a guy that is as skinny as him to be playing both sides of the football in the NFL, dealing with double the amount of car crashes, it's not something that's going to be sustainable. And I know that me, you, and everybody else out there that loves football, this is a guy that we want to see play as long as possible.
Long time.
I think
real quick, and then before you can go on, I'm even starting to think now, like they should probably, like he should be at a point now, and Dion and Colorado should be at a point where we should pick a side of the ball that we think that he is more impactful on and limit his snaps on the other side of the ball. Because you need him healthy for a full year.
Correct. Your best ability is availability. But what I was thinking about when you were presenting this to me here was a similar situation like that. Like, can we keep him on one side of the ball, and then in instances where we really need to, can he go out there and play on offense or on defense, whichever one like they need him most at? I think when he gets to the NFL, he's going to make his money as a wide receiver, even though I think he's a good corner. So he could still go out there on the defensive side of the ball and in some high leverage situations go and play. But I think at the end of the day, he will have the most success in the NFL playing wide receiver.
Wow. I was not expecting you to say that at all.
I knew you were.
I really wasn't. I will say right now that what Travis Hunter brings to the table as a corner, you like legit, you just can't teach. He has instincts that guys would dream of. And I think what the reasoning why he's so talented at that is because of his talents on the other side of the football. But I'm really shocked you said that. I just think he's so much more, like, I think it's so clear that he's so much better of a corner than he is a wide receiver. Like when I think of Travis Hunter in like the NFL as a corner, like that's the type of guy that's like resetting the market from like a corner perspective. From like a wide receiver perspective, I don't see that in his game, like of him. Like, I think he could obviously be a above average starter in the end. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like from like I think that he has an opportunity to be like the best at his position if he played corner compared to being like a fringe top 20 to 15 guy at wide receiver, which is crazy to say, but that's just how I feel.
I mean, I think he's phenomenal at corner, but I think you end up making more money and as a wide receiver, and that's why I tended to lean that way. I think if he ends up in the NFL and playing wide receiver, I think I probably have him a little higher up than the 15 to 20 spot that you had him. But again, I guess if you are technically the best at your position anywhere, you're going to get paid a shit ton of money. So I totally see where you're coming from when you say you have him as like one of those top guys. I don't know. I think a lot of it actually might depend on where, like, who drafts him. I think we could see that start to play a role on where he might end up, which side of the football he might end up on in the NFL.
So my take right now is that he's a top 10 pick as a corner.
Okay.
He's a top 20 pick as a wide receiver. Like, I think teams have way more interest in him from a cornerback perspective than a wide receiver perspective. And the reason I say that is because I have a friend who currently, he's a college scout in the NFL, and his area is like, he does Colorado, Colorado State, Idaho, Washington, like Utah, like all those schools. And that is like the rumblings that I'm hearing currently, that teams respect his game far more at the cornerback position than, like, let's say, a wide receiver. Not saying he would not be talented as a wide receiver, but just I think that his upside from a cornerback perspective is just higher.
Fair. So I'm looking at this right now, and I think now that I still think I would have him as a wideout, but it's harder to find a lockdown corner in the NFL than it is to find wide receiver talent, like you've said. We've seen these late round guys at wide receiver end up turning into superstars. That's not really something that you see from the cornerback position. So I think you do have some validity from that point of view. I'm looking through like some of the worst teams in the NFL right now, and more of them lean towards needing an elite corner than needing an elite wide receiver.
Well, you also look at like what's going on with like wide receivers. Like Nico Collins was a 4th round pick, and he's now one of the best he's a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL, like all this shit. And then on the other side of things, there's 3 guys in, if not more, in every single draft class. Like this year, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. all go in the 1st round. Are all dudes. Yeah. There's probably going to be I'm probably missing some other guys who are rookies this year that I'm not thinking of, but obviously those are the 3 main ones. There are going to be dudes every single year that come in the draft as a wide receiver who's like, you know what, like that guy's really good. And it's been like that for a while now. And I, like you said, it's hard. It's really hard to find guys who are like elite corners in the NFL. Like I'm looking at like the list of like the highest paid corners right now. And like when you get to like number 10, the fall off like really happens like quick, where you're like looking at some of the names and you're like, oh, like I don't love James Bradbury or Darius Slay as the 13th and 15th highest paid corners in the NFL.
Not like, at all.
So it's just like, it's just crazy that like how quick the list falls down. I mean, Trayvon Diggs is at 4 and he looks like a shell of himself this season. So it's definitely like you said, it's harder to get that key guy at corner. And I think Travis Hunter, like I said, I think that he could come into the NFL and be the best at that position. And I think that means something. I think that teams will feature him on offense in some way. I just don't know if it's going to be the way that he wants it to be. Like he thinks that he's going to be out there every single snap pretty much on offense and defense. And like, if you can't stay healthy in college and prove to everybody like this is a good idea, it's probably not going to translate over to the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be difficult. And I just don't see it being like a real, as good as he is and as well conditioned as he is. I just don't see his impact would end up being diminished if he ended up trying to do both of those things, I believe, rather than unfortunately just dialing in and playing one or the other.
Yeah.
Um, the thing is it's almost feels sometimes underappreciated how important it is having a good corner because you can have almost zero like statistical impact on a football game as opposed to a wide receiver where you can go out there and have 12 catches, 120 yards, 2 touchdowns. But if you're a lockdown corner, it it should be it's normally quiet for those types of guys because the football's just not even going their way. But
I
that's
mean,
exactly what you want from your lockdown corner is, oh, we don't even want them to throw the football to this side of the field because Travis Hunter's over there, Sauce Gardner's over there, Patrick Surtain's over there. So your opportunity to make a direct impact on a football game, i.e. interception, pick six, fumble recovery, etc., is going to be way less than if you're a wide receiver, obviously.
yeah, and we watched it happen this past weekend with the Broncos. They lose Pat Surtain in the first quarter, and the Broncos made the Chargers look like one of the best teams in the NFL.
Yeah.
Having a corner and the Broncos have been one of the most lockdown defenses in the entire league. They lost their guy. They lost the guy that makes everything tick, and they crumbled. So it's really those are like cornerbacks are like the unsung heroes of the NFL. They're so important. If you have a top one, you hold on to them. Those guys usually stay with one team for a really long time. They lock them in, they pay them. That's just like really how it goes. So, I'm curious. Hopefully this video gets views. Hopefully it buzzes a little bit. And if it does, go down in the comments and let us know, where do you think Travis plays at the next level, wide receiver or cornerback, and give your reason why.
The thing that I keep coming back to as to why I said wide receiver is the touchdown that he had at the beginning of the season where he's like basically falling out of bounds and like I don't even know how he catches that football.
Yeah.
I forget who it was. I think it was like honestly the first week of the season. And that's just not a play that's a play that a top 10 wide receiver makes in the NFL.
Yeah.
So that's why I was leaning towards that.
He's talented. There's no
crazy.
doubt about it. Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
He's an anomaly. That's why it's an interesting conversation.
A unicorn.
All right. Moving on. The thing that I have written down here is Nick Sirrianni just has absolutely no feel. They come off of a bye week. He shaves his head. He says they go out. First off, the Eagles go. They play the Browns, who are the only team in the NFL who have not scored 20 points yet, by the way. And they're 9.5 point favorites. It closes at 8.5, but they're 9.5 point favorites going into this week. And the Eagles squeak out a 4-point win, barely. And then Sirianni decides to go on the sideline, look up in the stands, and start yelling at people because apparently the rumor is they were chanting that he needed to get fired. So he thought it would be a good idea to scream at everybody in the stands. And then the reasoning why he said it was because the players said that he needs to show more personality. Sirianni has no feel, like at all. Like the players probably did say that, but probably what they didn't mean was when you should have absolutely demolished the Browns was to go and look at the fans in Philly, your fans, and scream at them. So
yeah,
I'll let you run with this. That's all I have to say. And the fact that he shaved his head is the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I mean, we're watching a man crash out in real time.
Yeah, it's bad.
It was insane when I saw that picture of him on my way to the stadium with a shaved head. I was at this game. This game was very frustrating to watch. Jalen did start slow, ended up picking it up as the game went on, played a little bit better. But the feel aspect from Nick Sirianni that you brought up it's incredible because I don't think he realized why people were like booing, and there was boos for sure. I didn't hear any fire Sirianni chants, but there was definitely booing going on. I think that he thinks the reason people were booing and yelling fire Sirianni is because like not because the Eagles won, but because they looked so bad doing it. Like you said, this was a game that the Eagles should have won by 2 touchdowns.
They should have
This
covered the spread at least.
correct. I will say on defense, the Eagles looked as they should against a team that can't score 20 points. So I'm not necessarily worried about that side of things. The offense, you got to score more than 20 points against this Browns team. It just doesn't. It still feels like the offense from the first 11, 12 games of last season. There's something that's not. I don't know what it is. I don't know if Sirianni's around Kellen Moore in his ear. Hey, this is how we want to play the game, and call the game. But there's just something that's not, even with Devontae Smith and AJ Brown back, that isn't. Nothing looks easy, and it should look easy when you're going against a Browns defense that sucks, is depleted, and you have 2 top 15 wide receivers and a top 8 running back on your team.
I mean, it quite literally took AJ Brown to make one of the most ridiculous catches of the weekend for them to close it out. Like it wasn't like it was like they won.
Phenomenal catch. It was insane.
It was like AJ Brown had to make like an alien play for them to have a chance to win the football game.
I thank God every night that AJ Brown is on this team. He's an incredible wide receiver. I mean, there's really no other words that you can use to describe him. But back to the Sirianni thing, I think he was yelling. I don't think he realizes that people were booing him, not for winning the game, but for how bad and how. I don't even know what he was saying. I don't even know what he was trying to say to these guys in the stands, but it's a terrible look. And then you bring your kids to the press conference after the game, and you almost use them as like human shields, so you don't have to answer any tough questions. Again, another first quarter where this team still hasn't scored a touchdown, coming off a bye week, and Jalen started off poorly. I think he missed his first 5 throws. That's inexcusable coming off a bye. You can tell that the defense actually took this bye week seriously, because I thought that they came out and played pretty well. But the offense, I don't know what they were doing, if they even did anything, because they looked so unprepared these first few drives. And then to end the half, they got Seattle Seahawked.
Yeah.
When Myles Garrett jumped right over the center and blocked it. There was plenty of boos going on for that. I was legitimately nervous for this game. There was 2 Browns fans sitting next to us the entire time that were like, don't worry, we can't score more than 20 points. So if you score 20 points, you're going to win this game. I mean, here we are. But I would have liked to see more out of the offense, especially coming after a bye.
Dude, honestly, I know that you can look at Jalen Hurts' stats. You're like, well, he took care of the ball. He had 126 passer rating, blah, blah, blah. I think that the limitations just strictly come from him. I just don't think he's very good. And I know that
I think there's definitely limitations.
I know that hurts to say and hurts to hear. And Eagles fans will probably really like to deny that. But I don't think that there's any other reasoning why the play calling is so one-dimensional and so predictable outside of the fact of Jalen Hurts is clearly limited on what they're comfortable with him performing on offense. And it's annoying. And I thought hiring Kellen Moore would give this team a little bit more of a spark, but whatever, that's really where I'm at with it. One, I don't like Sirianni. I mean, he should be gone. This team has a stinker out of them. But after he's gone, I still think that there's a very clear problem with this team, and it's the fact that I just don't think Jalen Hurts has it. I think he's clearly regressed. Every year since his like breakout year, he's just gotten worse. And I think that that's like a little worrisome. I don't know what he needs to be able to fix that, but like I said, you look at his stat line, you're like, oh, like he played, like if you're just stat line watching, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts balled. Like you watch the games and it's just bad.
There is plenty to be desired. I think he can play better than what he played and has been playing. I think
No
he's
doubt.
capable of that, but I don't think we're ever going to see him get back to that level of play that led them to the
Sad.
to the Super Bowl.
That hurts.
It is. It's crazy.
Eyes.
It's crazy.
There's pain in your eyes. I think it looks like you're about to start crying. It really does.
No, but I've been saying this is I don't even need him to get back to that same level because all that Jalen Hurts needs to do is be a point guard and get your best players the football.
He makes $250 million.
I know it's the most expensive point guard in the NBA, or in the NFL, but
dude, can I say
and
something?
you pay a guy like that to play at an MVP level, and he's certainly not living up to that level.
Yeah.
But at this point, I don't think it's going to get back to that level, and I just need it to get a little bit better. They have too much talent on this offense.
I do have the answer to that.
What is it?
We watched this play out with the Eagles already. In, what was it, 2018? They draft Jalen Hurts in the second round. Carson Wentz is still the quarterback. And it gets to the point where they have to make that tough decision to move on from Carson Wentz. What did the Eagles go and do this offseason? They went and they traded for Kenny Pickett.
Okay.
A former first-round quarterback.
I can't even hold a Whopper.
Who is going to come in and save this offense. They need to move over to Kenny Pickett. They have to.
No, I think the reason that the Jalen and Carson Wentz situation is different is because Carson Wentz thought he could do no wrong and was unwilling to admit he couldn't do everything, and there was no willingness to be coached. I think that it's different for Jalen. I think he has the willingness to be coached, and he just isn't getting. It's just not getting there yet.
You don't know Jalen.
It seems like it. At least it seems that way. You could clearly tell that Carson Wentz was an asshole.
Well, yeah, and so is Jalen Hurts. He's always like donating to charities and like he's a fucking dick. No, I'm just messing around, obviously. But I mean, I do think that like if you're the Eagles, like Howie Roseman is forward thinking. Like always. I know that he's very like obviously monitoring the status of this team. I think that do you think like deep down, like if you were a fly on the wall, do you think that Howie Roseman in his office has ever sat around with like a few other guys and just been like, man, maybe like at some point we need to like probably like look somewhere else for like potential quarterback play, whether that be through the draft, like if they take somebody like in the third round or the second round that they think that they like, or even a potential trade or whatever that might be. Do you think that could be a potential conversation that has happened in Howie Roseman's office?
1,000%. It's already happened. It already happened with Carson Wentz. They signed Carson Wentz to that deal.
I was not expecting that. Really?
We have seen this happen before.
Wow.
The Eagles had Carson Wentz and they signed him to, I don't think it's going to be Kenny Pickett, but okay. I think the realistic thing would be maybe somebody in the draft or trade, but I don't think it's Kenny Pickett, the guy that's waiting in the shadows. I mean, we saw this exact thing play out with Carson Wentz. So I don't think it's crazy for them to have maybe at least brought that up.
This past Sunday, when I was watching this Browns-Eagles game, made me realize that Jalen Hurts is pretty much just Deshaun Watson without a sex addiction.
Okay, that's disrespectful.
What?
Deshaun Watson is the worst quarterback in the history of NFL.
I'm just kidding, dude. I'm just kidding.
It's crazy.
I can't believe that. I'm definitely shocked though that you think that conversation has already has been had. I didn't think that you would say yes to that. But I guess that's good insight. And the last thing that I want to say about this is please get Saquon Barkley going.
Yeah. I mean, they gave him 18. He had 18 touches.
We'll give him 30.
Fine.
Give him 30
fine.
next time.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, he was quiet. He was quiet on Sunday, but I'm not really worried about him moving forward.
Me either. I just like him. Okay. $1 million picks. I said that I had an elite feel for the board and pretty much got every single pick wrong. That's how you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how you know. Like if you think you have an elite feel for the board, you're completely wrong. I got every single pick wrong. All the favorites just won. Which is hilarious. So I'm officially negative 228K on the year.
You're down. You're full negative.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm sitting here thinking like I need to get all the coin back. And I came into this thinking the Bills -1.5 was gonna be my play. Like deep down, I was like, I'm gonna take $1 million loan out and put it on the Bills -1.5.
Oh no.
And get
it's at 1 though, right?
And get all the coin back.
Okay.
Or I can put it on the Jets because you said that you like the Jets tonight. I need a coin saver, dude. And you go over your million. Do you have your $1 million picks ready from the weekend, or like want to review anything that you had? Because I need a legitimate coin saver tonight, and I think that I might put $1 million on a Dalton Kincaid touchdown.
Well, I mean, I can go over the picks that I had from the weekend, but normally we do our actual picks for the upcoming week on Wednesday. But I did get one. I got one right.
Recap.
I got one right. So I had Ayuk TD. Might have had 2 catches on Thursday night. They hate that guy.
Yeah, they hate him.
Giants Bengals over 48.5. I thought that this was going to be an offensive battle, and both defenses decided to show up. And then I had the Jags money line across the pond. I thought they had something going based off of last week. They've played in London plenty of times. Rookie quarterbacks in London don't usually bode well. And they got their shit stepped in. The only thing that I won was Eagles Bucks money line.
That's bad.
85 grand to win 75,350 and 20 cents. So we started at $1 million. I'm currently sitting at $849,756.40.
Real quick, and then we'll get back into it. Nick Sirrianni did apologize about chirping the fans. He said that wasn't the right time. Just FYI.
It's never the right time to chirp your own fans in Philadelphia.
Dude, don't shoot the messenger, bro.
I'm not.
I was just letting you know what Sirianni said.
It's never the right time to shoot or to it's never the right time to chirp your fans, especially after you win.
All right, so the real question lies is I need to get the coin back. What do you think is our best bet for me to put $1 million on tonight?
Let's slide over to FanDuel and take a look. What do you say?
I'm on FanDuel right now.
All right, I'm getting there. Give me 1 second. What's your initial thought was Bills -1.5?
Yeah, now I'm thinking about putting $1 million on a Dalton Kincaid touchdown.
Sneaky could be the move.
You think? I wins 2.8 mil, and I'll be literally right back with 3.8 million in the account on a loan.
That sounds good.
All right.
Hold on.
I'm doing that. No, we can't overthink it. We cannot overthink this. That's the play.
What is the Dalton Kincaid anytime touchdown plus 280?
That gets all my coin back and then some.
How do you feel about
Curtis Samuel?
No. How do you feel?
Plus 550.
How do you feel about a Tyler Conklin touchdown?
No, I can't. I can't do it. I can't. Plus 450. I can't do it.
All right. Hear me out. Brees Hall, last touchdown at plus 550.
No. What about him anytime? A mil on it.
Minus 105.
He's going to score tonight.
He's 100% going to score
All
tonight.
right. Book it. Brees Hall. I'm putting $1 million hypothetical dollars on Brees Hall anytime touchdown at minus 105 to get out of my debt. I appreciate the bank. I mean, I should put just 200K on it, but I took $1 million out. I'm so confident in this that I actually changed my pick 3 times live. Before we wrap up,
your bank has some issues though too.
Yeah, I don't have a bank card for the last month. Last thing that I wanted to say to you before we close out today. So, since 2014, I went back the last 10 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So the last decade.
Junior year of high school.
Yeah. The last decade, there has been 8 first-round tight ends taken in the last decade. Some more than others. With the highlights being Kyle Pitts in 2021, he went 4th. And then Eric Ebron actually went in the top 10. And something that I wanted to highlight is Tyler Warren versus USC. He had 17 receptions, 224 yards, a touchdown, which was like an absolute circus catch. He threw some balls. Who knows what else he did? Quite literally, if it was not for Tyler Warren on Saturday, Penn State did not stand a snowball's chance in hell to get back into that game. Like, it's not even a joke.
They would have lost for sure.
Their running backs looked bad. Everybody looked bad, except the fact that Tyler Warren, like, literally just played out of his mind and was the best player on the field. And I was thinking about this, and I was looking at some of the players, like, in the draft this year. He has to be the best prospect in the draft from, like, an offensive weapon perspective. It's him, and then it's him, the running back from Boise. Like,
Genty.
I'm looking at both. Like, I think Genty is obviously like better, but like I don't think he'll go like I think that there's like a real possibility that like in the top 10 this year there's going to be a running back and a tight end taken. Why isn't Tyler Warren a top 10 pick right now? Like, why wouldn't he be?
I think only reason would be those teams in the top 10 have a more immediate need than a tight end would be my only guess.
But we think that, and then like you look back and like
Brock Bowers was where?
He was 15th. He's way better than Brock Bowers. I don't care what anyone says. He's way better than Brock Bowers.
He's incredible. I mean, he actually might be the best tight end to come out of Penn State, and they've had some really good tight ends come out of Penn State.
Who's better than him?
Exactly.
Like I'm not like I feel like I'm not like I feel like that's not a hot take.
No,
like at all. I was looking. Well, the reasoning why is I was looking at some of the wide receivers who were coming out this upcoming year, and he's better than just all of the available wide receivers. So I'm thinking like if you need a pass catcher, you're going to go with him over the wide receivers who are available in this upcoming draft class. I think so. And then now it's just pretty much like, where does he land? Because I don't know, dude. Like, I just don't like I said, highlight of the 8 first-round picks, tight ends in the last decade, 1 has gone in the top 5. So I'm not saying that, but I think that I think he might be a lock to be a top 10 pick this year. He's just better than everybody else.
I mean, I think, like I said, I think the only reason why he wouldn't is because those teams in the top 10 probably end up going defensive end, offensive lineman, quarterback.
We thought that last year, though, and then a defensive end didn't go until 15th.
But we did see, and then wide receiver. So he could easily slot into one of the wide receiver picks this, like where a wide receiver would get picked this year to a team that maybe is looking good on the offensive line, but they need a tight end. I mean, let me see like what the current draft order is right now. But I mean, you make a valid.
I've just never seen a player dominate. Like he like
it was
dominated.
Insane.
He like from the tight end position dominated from like the way that like a running back dominates or like a really good quarterback. Like if it wasn't for him, like this past season, what would have Penn or not this past season, this past week, what would have Penn State done? Like Penn State would have been screwed.
Yeah, he's been their best player by far this entire season. And he's just an absolute mismatch issue from a defensive perspective. Like, you have to legitimately put a corner on him to cover him.
Real quick, the draft order right now. I'm just gonna read the top 10. New England Patriots 1, Carolina Panthers 2, Cleveland Browns 3, Dolphins 4, Jags 5, Tennessee 6, Raiders 7th, New York Giants 8, Rams 9, Bengals 10th. First off, if Tyler Warren lands on the Rams,
that's who I was gonna say. I was gonna say the Rams.
McVay would be ridiculous, but listen, absolutely ridiculous. Not saying this is gonna happen, but like the Patriots are desperate of like a pass catcher. Like, I know that he's not going to go first, but they also need I know they need a line, but still, this obviously isn't going to be the exact way it shakes out. But I mean, I can see one of these teams like biting on a special talent at tight end, especially in a weak quarterback draft.
I mean, I don't think the Bengals stay where they are. I think New Orleans could legitimately take a tight end. I think the Rams could legitimately take a tight end. I think Tennessee probably needs a quarterback. New England goes O-line. Cleveland.
What?
Okay.
Okay. What? Tennessee does not need a quarterback.
Sorry.
He doesn't. Tennessee does not need he's the best quarterback in the league.
Okay, you're right. People forget he went to Penn State too. Didn't even start. But yeah, there's probably 4 out of these 10 teams that could take a tight end at 10 in the top 10 spot.
Hey, just don't.
We're monitoring. He's amazing. I'm glad he's on my team, and he backpacked Penn State this weekend. It was one of the craziest performances that I've seen from a tight end
from anybody.
How long?
From anybody. 17 receptions, 224 yards, a touchdown. He probably had rushing yards too that I'm forgetting about. He probably had passing yards that I'm forgetting about. Like, what? It's crazy. Like, that's stuff that you see. Like, I don't even know who. Like people who are like Heisman, who are competing for the Heisman, put up stat lines like that.
Yeah, Kotelnicki's done a phenomenal job. Like having the offense play through him.
It's crazy that's what they have to do, but their wide receivers just aren't very good.
But like that's like, it's crazy because it's a tight end, but also it shouldn't, like, when you are a team, you want to get your best players the football. The best players on their offense are Nick Singleton, Katron Allen, and Ty Warren by far. So you want to play and get the ball into those guys' hands as much as you can, and then you'll need your wide receivers to step up here and there, and they stepped up in critical spots at the end of that game. But majority of it was Ty Warren for sure.
Yeah, if he didn't bring him back in the game, there would have never been an option to do those things. But something definitely shaping out for this upcoming draft is just like there are some special, unique like positions that people are like red X. Like, we're done drafting running backs in the top 10. Like, why would we draft a tight end in the top 10? But these players are just so special that they're already starting to like pique my interest of like, why can't they be top 10 picks is pretty much where my head's at right now.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it makes sense. Like, if you're looking at it as from a wide receiver perspective, like a guy like Ty Warren in your offense is going to give you such a mismatch problem in the NFL because he's going to be able to get open against linebackers. And he's, from what I have seen thus far, he's been pretty good blocking, and he can legitimately run the football. Now, I don't know how often they're going to have him lining up behind the quarterback in the NFL. Probably not nearly as much as he's asked to do at Penn State, but having that option and having a guy that you could line up in the backfield is nice to have.
No doubt. All right. Well, that's all I got.
Did you want to talk about the Drake May?
Oh yeah. Yeah, just real quick, I texted you about it, but me and you had the conversation that Nick like was like, the Patriots just have nothing to gain like from playing Drake May. Drake May like gave this team life. He had 2 interceptions, he had a sack fumble. He wasn't perfect, but honestly, like if it wasn't for those turnovers, which are a big part of it, the Patriots were in this game for majority of the game until the end,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah, that third quarter is kind of when it started to get out of hand.
Yes, it's when it got out of hand. They scored 14 in the fourth quarter as well. Something that stuck out to me is like Demario Douglas, like who's somebody that like everybody like really liked. He played really well. His first touchdown was like a legit throw that he like stepped back in the pocket and threw a dime, and that is the reasoning of like doing that, because obviously everybody in the organization from the top down to the bottom knew that he was better than Jacoby Brissett, and they felt that like the team felt like, hey, we were understanding that he needed to sit for the first few weeks to like get shit under his belt, but it's time, and like we are getting our asses kicked, and like we need hope. Yeah. Drake May came in and automatically looked really good. Not really good, but looked better than I thought that he was going to. Honestly, I felt that he was going to struggle a little bit more, and I understand that he had 2 picks. He threw 1 really bad pick. He got sack fumbled, but we talked about it. The O-line's not that great. But I just wanted to shout out Drake May and the Patriots organization and the real reasoning of why, like I said that the other day, like it was time to make that adjustment at quarterback because you were losing the locker room. Guys in the locker room don't care about your 3-year plan, your 5-year plan, whatever that might look like. They want to play now. They don't want years of their career get wasted. And it feels like I would like to see Drake May continue to get better over the course of the year so we can have a few good quarterbacks in this upcoming draft class and be awesome. But definitely a cool performance from Drake May this past week, and he made some decent throws, and he threw 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. Yeah, I took a couple notes here. That the first interception that he threw was an overthrow to a guy like running like a like across the middle of the field. It was just like he overthrew the guy. Like that's normally what's going to happen when you overthrow somebody in the middle of the field. His second pick, like I wouldn't necessarily put that all on him. I thought the defensive line made a good play and like batted that ball up in the air. Yeah. And then that 1 touchdown that he had down the sideline to Kaytron Boutte was like, that is the type of stuff where you're a Patriots fan. You're like, holy shit. Okay. This is why we played this guy now rather than waiting until week 12.
And Kaytron Boutte has been terrible. Like he's been like a legit nobody. So like he got him involved, which is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought he looked pretty good. Moving around in the pocket and then like getting out of the pocket and making plays like from there. He had a couple nice plays on the run. He's going to have to deal with the pocket collapsing on him a lot just because their O-line is so bad, but he's pretty athletic and he gives them a legitimate chance to extend the play, unlike Jacoby Brissett, where he wasn't really expected or capable of making those types of plays outside of the pocket when things collapsed. And then just overall, I thought he looked like pretty calm in there. It didn't really seem like he was trying to force a ton of things offensively. It seemed like he was taking what they gave him for the most part. But I thought he looked like better than expected as well with what he's dealing with from an offensive line perspective. I thought he looked really calm. I thought he looked pretty collected. I don't think he looked like he was going to he didn't look like he was anxious or trying to get out of the pocket too soon. It looked like he was comfortable back there. I feel like you got to feel, even though you got smacked, like you still got to feel decent with how he played from like a growth perspective.
Yeah, definitely. So shout out Patriots. Me and Noah spoke very highly of them in the offseason and broke down the plan of why they'd be successful. And we both think Drake May has a bright future, and we hope that he gets better, obviously. So,
yep, I think they've got some playmakers around him. It's just a matter of getting that offensive line straightened out.
Definitely. Okay, last thing, obviously, like the video, comment on it, subscribe to the channel, click on the link, the first link for the Discord up top. Join the Discord. Talk to us. Post your bets. Do what you got to do. All right, brother. I am going to relax and watch this game.
I have a big Yankees game 1 that I need to dial into in about an hour. And then I'll also have the Monday Night Football game on as well.
Word. More life.
Go Birds.